What is going on, everybody? Make sure we got Mike Chick and all. Mel popping in already, saying hey. I like how you always put the Brazilian flag in there, too. Love it. Love it. Friday night, though. Oh, my goodness. This week flew. Absolutely flew. But we are back. I know kind of a late one, but we'll get her done. Depending on which platform you're watching on. So, but yeah, for Mel, I think Patty's been in here before. See a bunch of you guys popping in already. But this week flew. This week has flown. Like absolutely flown by. Um, Somehow it's gonna be March already, which is crazy. But office is coming along. We got the electrician coming back, do some final rounds there. That way we get this X-ray room will, on the way here. It's been a little bit of a holding pattern, but helping a bunch of people in the meantime. Which check out the case videos coming up and the previous ones. I've been doing trying to focus on a lot more testimonials too, to just share all the awesome patient stories that we get constantly. So more to come there. But Laura Bolt popping in. How you doing, Laura? I know we got some pregnancy things there. Emma, so tired. Honestly, the light does mess with you, especially this time of year. But I feel, light's starting to change a little bit more as time goes on, which is nice. But watch the late nights. Watch staying on your phone all late, because of melatonin. And that's honestly, I usually wear the blue light glasses for these lives. I was doing it for a little while, but it looks so weird. And then when I have the light on here, you can just see the lights all in the glasses. So we're going no glasses for these lives at least. But yeah, blue light and circadian rhythm, which can involve the brain, that can involve the adrenals, and just some hormonal signaling that happens there at a neurotransmitter level, but then also at an adrenal level there too. And light has a lot to do with it. Your circadian rhythm, having cortisol pick up in the morning, and if people have depleted cortisol rhythms, especially in the morning, you're going to have trouble with, reflipping that circadian rhythm around, because now you're going to get really wakeful at some point in the day. And the most wakeful point should be in the morning. So that's just one scenario I see really commonly. So, like licorice in the morning could really help somebody out with something like that going on. So, but yeah. My ear is bleeding. Oh my goodness. Whoa. Laura Bolt. What is happening there? Going to the ER. There we go. Get the fire department going. Unbearable fatigue, start issues is rough, especially with the profession. How much salt in milligrams is okay? I mean, the salt question is going to be somewhere around 5,000 milligrams a day. That's between, electrolytes and food. That's not just adding electrolytes in. Worst case, you just pee extra out, but then if you're buying a nice fancy electrolyte powder, you don't want to waste money. So that's a good understanding there. But in terms of the thyroid case, yeah, there's a lot of stress going on there, from what I know, and some liver issues, some blood sugar things in terms of how that liver's handling that. So, in this kind of initial phase, hey, you may feel a little bit tired as your body tries to find a medium. But yeah, in terms of stress support, who knows? Maybe you could dial back on stress support and see some of that, come back. But castor oil packs, yeah, they do help. They do help. And it pulls a lot of water in and helps the liver convert water soluble things, which is really what your liver is, just a huge conversion organ. So you have to convert things from water soluble to fat soluble, and so there's a couple steps there, but that can help with some of those steps. Is it going to help with everything? No, there's no natural cures. I say this repeatedly, right? In terms of that. So Does high reverse T3 actually block the T3 from going into the cell? Yes, definitely. That has to happen. That does that for a reason. It does that for everybody, and for good reason. Because if not, you may possibly not be here, especially if stress is really high, and if you have cortisol and thyroid hormones cranking out, and that can't regulate itself. Boy, that's not good at all. Your body's gonna fail, legitimately. So we don't need that, right? Your body wouldn't let that happen anyways, but that's how it works. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Thyroid hormones are everywhere in your body, so a little bit of them slip in or change in there, and you will feel it. Certainly. That is without question. Seems like different functional providers have different optimal ranges for things. I mean, possibly. When you're looking at blood work, the ranges that you're seeing are based on geography. So it's just an average of a bunch of sick people, to be honest. And, do you really want to base your reference off of a sick population? Probably not. So that's why there's differing ranges, but that does help kind of understand why it is that way. Certainly functional range, and then, disease-bound things, but some like TSH higher. Yeah, I mean, between 1 and 2 really is where you want to see that. Once it starts getting over that, now your brain's telling your thyroid, hey, we need we need some more. And I could see that too, because there's kind of a delay before you start to see that signal. Like if T3 if T3 is low, that's been low for months. T4. If T4 is low, that's been low for a long time. Don't understand why TSH is so good. Probably because your reverse T3 is combating the the response there with all the stress. So your brain's not having to tell your body to make more, you're just down regulating it through the reverse T3. So, but yes, if I have all these issues and the immune system too, from what I know here, TSH, it's a brain hormone that tells your thyroid to make more thyroid hormones. That is as basic as it goes. But it's not a thyroid hormone. I have low cortisol. Interesting. Okay. 9 a.m. and a referral. Turn me away before doing any bloods. Interesting. So I guess you did a salivary cortisol test. I mean, you could do a little bit of licorice in the morning, cold shower, and correct some of that. But I would love to see the blood work piece and possibly even a urine hormone test too. Those are getting blood and urine shows you a way fuller picture, for lack of a better term, but way more complete picture there. For fatigue, I would say that your body's probably starting to adapt here, and that you could pull back on possible stress support if that's what you're doing, because that could very well be why you're fatigued, is if you're taking a bunch of stress herbs when your body's starting to catch up with all this stuff, and yeah, you're going to feel a little tired. But I don't know, you could be getting sick. There could be so many things going on. I would have to know your whole case. So didn't do any bloods, just told me to come back. Yeah, I mean, you're seeing a fire department system, right? So you're seeing a fire department asking if there's a fire, and there's not a fire, which is good. You don't have a disease, right now. If you don't take any action, eventually we'll get there. That's how that works. That's how it works with your own home. That's how it works with your car. That's how it works with everything. Even your teeth. That's why I love the dentist, because they clearly communicate, hey, if you don't brush and floss and you eat a bunch of sugar and do the opposite of what I tell you, teeth are going to degrade. So Same thing for the rest of the body. But in terms of the cortisol piece, yeah, you have to know that. Salivary cortisol is good to know it is free in the tissues being utilized. So I think that's enough to at least say, okay, maybe you could do an organ meat here, like adrenal glandular or licorice. I would want to know and see that lab just because you used a different unit just to see how that's actually looking. But yeah, we could order that. We can order you some labs. Send me a message there. And for anybody on here, in my bio there's a link to complimentary calls and then new patient appointments as well, which are discounted for the time that we're going live. So there you go. And if I talk about any of the supplementation, also within that link in bio as well, and then hyperlinks to all the research documents there too. Lower bolt, yeah, it may be a little infection there. Could very well be. Some of these comments are crazy. Okay, hold on. Let's get back up to here. Oh wait, I missed Emma. Better start period. Maybe that. Beef glandula. Nice. That's funny. Okay. I already read that one. Natural remedies for non-alcoholic fatty liver. So there's a couple things here. Obviously, getting sugars down, right? Getting sugars down, watching the grains, getting fiber up. I think sprinting, resistance training, very good things to do. I've talked about those couple points. I have a long form video on that too on YouTube. Cool stuff. And maybe we'll do it again. A little weight loss seminar, webinar thing. But yeah, those couple steps, and then milk thistle can be very beneficial. I don't know if you're anemic though. There can be some issues there if you're already anemic. You could do some Oregon grape, some coleus. I do like gymnum in there too, just because it's largely from a sugar issue. So I would say milk thistle, Oregon grape, coleus, fantastic things. With the conversion steps from cholesterol down, coleus kind of slept on in terms of how lipid panel works there with converting those things down into the sex hormones. So you can convert a lot of the excess cholesterol laying around that's not going to use and pour that into the sex hormones there. If the body permits, milk thistle obviously helping break down triglycerides directly, even rebuilding hepatocytes to the liver too. One of the only few things on the planet that could do that. And then Oregon grape, because of the berberine in there, you're going to move into different energy burning phases. So out of a more sugar phasing use of energy into more fat burning, but also helping with carb breakdown, protein breakdown, and fat breakdown. Stimulation of the gallbladder through 2 out of 3 of those things. So, but yeah, I think that is a really good way to start, but the dietary things have to change. So, but yeah, Nicole, let us know. Let us know more. Okay. Why is a caloric deficit for someone 18 or under a bad idea? I mean, you're still growing. That's probably the main point there. Still growing. Joe, what kind of a question is that, man? I would say yes. I would say yes to Joe's question. Carlos, I have asthmatic bronchitis. Recently diagnosed celiac. Interesting. I'm sure that dyspnea is not asthma. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of allergic responses with both of those, and your body's not separate. Please, the poster behind me, I know it's kind of at an angle, but Swiss watch principle. Every single organ is tied to all the others. If you stub your toe, your heart rate changes. You can't separate the organs. So the food responses that could be coming from and interacting with celiac can 100% irritate mucosal membranes and other tissues too. And that's why when you get a virus, like, you're going to get diarrhea, you're going to get dripping within the sinus, and postnasal drip. You're going to pour mucus out. You're going to get phlegm because your body's using that as a mucosal barrier to get white blood cells to attack things. And that's in your GI. That's in pretty much throughout, uh, from mouth to butt, you know. But I would say chamomile, albizia, nettle leaf, for those three right there, pretty good lineup because you're targeting mast cells twice there with nettle leaf and albizia. And then you're working on those mucosal membranes with chamomile. The only one that I would throw in is OSHA. That way you can work a little bit more on blood pressure, dilation of the lung tissue, and then the white blood cell lining, or mucosal lining and production of white blood cells in the lung tissues themselves. So really cool. I'll say it again: OSHA, chamomile, albizia, and nettle leaf. So there you go. For Mr. Carlos, link in bio there. But you know, in the grand scheme of it, you do have to figure out what is creating this irritation in the first place. Mold is a big one. Mold is a big one, especially with a lot of the airborne things. And it's wintertime, so we're all inside, just breathing in our own, you know, stuff here. And over 50% of buildings have mold in them. Terrible stat, but very much true. And the GI. So food, I would probably do GI tests and looking for mycology or different forms of yeast and fungus there. And you can get a lot of those responses to calm down a ton because your body's creating autoimmunity. So if you figure out why it's doing that, then you can work on it, right? And have your body regulate itself. Pretty cool. Okay, I don't know if it was just the cold intolerance. I have to have a heated blanket, lots of jackets. Yeah, I don't know. I would have to see your labs there. I know you have them done. I just haven't seen them in a while. But ask your wellness doc too. Give him a call. I know you're under care of a good doc there as well. Yeah, no DHEA, testosterone, estrogen, progesterone. Yeah, you gotta get at least those done. There's more on top of that too. You know, what about cortisol? What about cortisone? How about all the other estrogens? I mean, you said estrogen. Estrogen's not a hormone. There's 9 different ones you need to look at. So blow your mind even more. But yeah, blood and urine, you can get all that looked at. Let me know. Send me a message. I'm up to 1,700 calories. Emma, kicking butt. I was only at 1,000. Yes, girls do not eat enough. I cannot say this enough. Heart and soul. Heck yeah. For organ meats. And they got some decent protein. We need sugar. I mean, yeah, we run off sugar, right? It's just, in America, we do too much. We do too much sugar. Okie doke. Where did we leave off? Okay, my left arm is getting sore. So we're going to switch arms. We are going to switch arms now. Wow, I missed a couple here. Let's go back up. Okay, there we are. Risk of insufficiency. High. Okay. How many scoops of Ultima? I mean, I would say probably around half a gallon of water, and I don't always use Ultima, so I'm using between that and Celtic sea salt, depending on what I have. Depending on where I am, I have different storages of electrolytes. Yeah, TSH can be high if iron's low. You need iron to make thyroid hormones, so that makes a, yeah, totally. Do some stomach acid promotion, some apple cider vinegar, and organ meats there. Plug that up real quick. Does GLP-1 works for PCOS women? I mean, Oregon grape, completely natural, like one of these, blows metformin, and basically any other PCOS drug out of the water. And that's right from medical research, so you can look that up. Um, Pretty cool. But yeah, it's a blood sugar issue. So Gymnema, Oregon grape, some white peony to convert some of the androgenic hormones down into the estrogens. Um, Probably working on some stress, maybe a little bit L-theanine in there too. But I would want to see your labs, and that's a great starting point. You could do Oregon grape, Gymnema, some white peony. You're helping with insulin sensitivity with the beta cells of the pancreas. You're helping with the amount of berberine within Oregon grape, highs containing berberine herb. I mean, golden seal is really close, but don't do golden seal. Yeah, pretty crazy how you can do that, you know? It's a lot of hormonal demand. So if you were deficient in some things, going into that cycle is probably going to weigh on you. Plus, food patterns too. If I would be curious about if you maybe are a little bit low on some sugars there. If you're really trying to avoid sugar, that could be a piece of it because for females, that is a good part of your cycle too. So if there's a lot of brain fog, getting cold a little bit, maybe you need a little bit more sugar here. But I don't know your case that very well. Um, but that's something I see a lot. Nicole, you're welcome. Do most people's allergies go down after they remove them? It depends. It depends. Because if you just did that test and avoided food allergies, I mean, eventually it's just going to change to the new foods that you switch to. So you do have to do that repair work to calm that immune system down. Obviously, remove the triggers and then rebuild. And then you retest. So, but it's usually part of a bigger story with a lot more irritants that come in, heavy metals, mold, other fungal things, bacteria, stress in multiple forms. But good question, though. Emma, those are some interesting things going on there. Very interesting. Yeah, I'd wonder if we maybe need a little bit more conversion help there through the liver based on what you're saying. Things may bottleneck a little bit for you. Yeah, I think you might be having some bottleneck in there. From the Philippines. Wow. Okay, wait. Okay, wait. Where did we leave off? Oh my goodness. Dun dun dun. Holy comments, dude. I didn't realize. I must be ranting today, you know? Okay, Carlos gives us some more. So, not anemic. Endoscopy in 2 weeks. Yeah, from your nose. Yeah, it's probably some airborne and some internal immune responses that are occurring, creating that response. So you have to find what's triggering it. What? What is the from Brazil? Another person from Brazil. Also throat is sore. Yeah, you've got some microbial overgrowths. You got airborne allergens, probably allergens coming into the body too. You're gonna need GI tests and food allergy tests, and I would want to see some blood work that you've had already. So plenty that you can do. It's just figuring out what's creating these responses. um, that they're probably going to make the best recommendations for scans and different labs for pathology. But if it's not pathology, you're we got to look at still the cause. Even if it is pathology, you still have to find the causal factors. Regardless, if you have symptoms, there's a reason why that's happening. Um, when they look for pathology, they're looking to do medication or surgery to shut that response off, but that doesn't fix why it was happening in the first place. Because then usually that issue migrates somewhere else, or that's probably the number one thing that you see happen there. See it in cancer, see it in hormonal cases, see it in so much all the time. Um, you know, solve one problem, cause another type of thing. But find the causes. What more can we say? Say and said, but that's okay. Yeah, in terms of getting inflammation down, especially in the stomach, albizia, nettle leaf, chamomile, great things to do early on. Tons of research on them. Link in bio, look at all the hyperlinks to the PubMed journals in there. But yeah, you need some labs done too. I would probably want to do MOTS, something like a MOTS test for what we got here in the comments. Both have Hashimoto's. Will I get it? A genetic question. I hate that excuse. Your body's programmed for normal, for homeostasis, not for disease. So I heavily disagree with that framework and thinking. But yeah, if you do the same patterns and same behaviors, then sure, it's genetic, right? So maybe it is in just a different way. But you can, even if there's a Hashimoto's case, you can get those antibodies down. You can get those responses to regulate until you go off and eat sassy and do all the same mistakes, right? It's a lot of behavioral change that needs to occur. Oh, 2:40 a.m. where you are. Wow. Protein powder. I just like the bone broth protein. I've been digging that one for a little while. Just because you're getting a different complex of things, amino-wise. It's basically chicken and beef bone ground up there. Super cool. Yeah, throat irritated by acid, probably from low stomach acid, and again, food allergies and microbial overgrowths that create that response. So, really common to see. Apple cider vinegar, aloe vera juice, chamomile, same things, nettle leaf, albizia. You need to get the allergic responses down and then figure out why it's happening and get some labs done. Increase carbs. Well, that backs up what I was saying, Emma. Time for some change. Is it true IgG allergies are the foods you eat most often? No. Do you have to eat a dog to get allergic to that dog? No, right? What about a cat, So just kind of a funny way of putting it there, but no. I don't eat cod ever, and it's a +4 food allergy that I have. It's like, where's that coming from? Kind of crazy, but appreciate you. Yes, of course. Okay, wait. Let's scroll back up. I skipped a bunch again. Oh my goodness. Bottlenecking, question mark. Yes. I've heard some free cheat 3, 3.6 and 4.4. I mean, that's pretty up there. It's not easy to get there. I mean, I like seeing it at least above 3, at least. Is that for people on meds for T3? Maybe. I don't know what they're using. That high naturally. Yeah, I mean, the thyroid is not like how most people think of it because it changes throughout the entire day and it changes throughout the month. It's going to change with your cycle. It's going to change on days you work out more or less. It's going to change based on your calories, based on your immune system, and so many things. So, yeah, they're in. It's a pulsating signal, so it's not like here's the requirement per day, like you would think of like vitamin D per se. Very different. Very different. Vitamin D, I want you getting a good amount every day. For thyroid hormones, if you're going to work out really heavy and you're getting toward your cycle and all those things, you're going to need more support. So, yeah, that's why I mentioned the liver and things, because there's a lot of conversions there. But I don't know what you're taking. I don't know what you're doing. I'm not your wellness way doc. I would ask them, to be quite honest. I don't want to steal any thunder. Either way. Watching from the Philippines. Another across the world there. Hello, friends across the pond. Jen saying hey. What's up, Jen? A couple new people in there. Hello, hello. Well, good stuff. Heck yeah. That's good. That's good that he knows. I'm glad. I am glad. Could I play a song? What? Do you see the title of the live? Health Q&A. All right, that was a good round of questioning there. But stay tuned. We're probably going to do something a little bit different tomorrow. I want to implement some more webinar type things so that we could just have a different framework here. I love the live Q&As. I just want to give you even more and show you kind of with some slides and things what's going on here. Give a good show, you know. But we'll be doing some giveaways tomorrow. Stay tuned for that. That'll be really cool. And gonna do a little horizontal live. So, but for the people on here that maybe didn't get questions answered, send me messages, book complimentary calls, do all the things that you need. If you are looking for the support from things I mentioned throughout these questions, check the link in bio. You can get pretty much everything through there, whether it's booking appointments or getting things. So, good stuff. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.